Can anyone confirm, please? My screen is visible and I'm
Yes, sir.
audible properly. Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Perfect. Perfect. Okay. So I think we were doing with the list functions, and then I think the last we finished with the lambda functions, right? Or anonymous function. So let's move ahead from where we left out. So now next category of function that is available is, again, it will be very important, especially for your data transformation when we will be learning machine learning. Okay, so that's very important. So let's focus on that function. Okay, so next function is, remember properly, it's a map function known as map. Okay, this function is known as map function. Okay, it's a very, very important function. Simple mapping of a function is there, that break the function in two halves, map plus function. Okay, so what we are going to do, understand, suppose I have any iterable, doesn't matter which iterable. Suppose I have a list. For example, I have a list which has an element like 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, and what I want, that every element of this should be squared. Means I need a list now which should be like 1 square, comma 2 square, comma 3 square, comma 4 square. Okay, understand my requirement. I have any iterable. For example, that iterable I have taken here is list, and what my requirement is, I want to apply some function. For example, in this case, what I am applying, I'm applying a function known as, for example, square function. I'm applying a square function. So what should happen? This square function should be applied to each and individual element of this iterable. Right? Means this square function applied to this will make it 1 square. This function applied to this 2 will make it 2 square. This applied to this will make it 3 square. This applied to this will make it 4 square. So what we are doing, we are mapping our function basically. We are mapping our function to each element of an iterable. That's why the name map function is there. Getting my point? What's our requirement? We have an iterable, example 1, 2, 3, 4. And what we want to apply some function on each individual element of that list. That's my task. Is it fine? Although we can, and we need a new list, for example, like this. We need a list like this, 1 square plus 2 square plus 3 square, 4 square. So it will give me 1, 4, 9, 16. Although this task can be easily done without the help of map function also, if we know loops, right? If we know loops, easily we can do this task. Means convert 1, 2, 3, 4 into 1, 4, 9, 6. Can't we do that? Please tell me. Will be able to do that or not without using map function? Conversion of this list into this, right?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
We can iterate over each element of this list and make it a square. That's it. As simple as that. But we don't have to do that. Easily we can do that with the help of map function. If we have a function available with us, so we can easily do that. So what is the syntax of map function? Map function is start with a map, and it takes two arguments. One, the function which you want to map. Second, your iterable. This iterable can be any iterable. Okay, just need two arguments, function and iterable. Okay, yesterday, remember, we studied our lambda functions. Yesterday, we studied our lambda function. And remember, what was the syntax of lambda function? We have to just write what? A keyword known as lambda, right? Then the variables on which you want to operate. For example, in this case, I want just a square of a variable. So what I will put, example, any name I can give, let x, right? After that, after deciding the variables you want, what operation you want on that variable. In this case, what we want to square that. How will we square? X exponential means 2 stars, right? So this will be the function for a square in terms of lambda function. Tell me, is it right or wrong? Please, everyone.
Yes,
Is it
sir.
fine? Right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So suppose this is my list named as any name. Suppose this is a list named as L. Okay. I have to create this one. So how I will write? I will write map. For a function, either declare a function using def method. Okay. but don't require, we can directly use this. That's why the lambda function or anonymous function were invented. You need not declare function explicitly, directly use your anonymous functions. So I can write here, but I can write lambda, okay, then x colon, same x exponential means x to the power 2, comma, your iterable, whatever iterable name in this case is L. Fine. So actually what it will return? It will return an object known as map object. Okay. It will be showing something, this map is stored at this location. Okay. And any object, it is stored there, we can go through loop it. We can go looping through that. I'll tell you that how to do that. Is it clear till this point? Please tell me. Till this point, any doubt, please? Even a single doubt. Till this point. Then we'll go for the coding of the same.
No problem.
Very good. Very good. So let's move to that directly to the coding. So I'm taking a list. Let's again, I'm giving the same terminology that I've used here. A list 1, 2, 3, 4. I created a list. So this is a list which is available with me. Now I'm creating a map object. Okay, map function I'm calling. The moment I tap map, see it has turned green. That means it is a keyword. Now inside this a bracket, if I don't know what the map does, I always tell you, if you don't know any function, what this function does, go inside that function, means inside the bracket, and press shift plus tab together. Okay, so it will tell you simple what it needs. It needs a function and it triples. It needs functions and a triple, and what it will give you? It will give you map object. It will give you map object. See that? I'm writing my lambda function LAMBDA. Okay, I need only one variable at a time. So x colon x colon, and what I need? X square. How we write square? Star star. Right? My function has been written. Now pass here your iterable. What is iterable? L. Let me store it in x, for example. Okay, and if I print x, x will be a map object. You won't be able to see the elements right now directly. So if I print it, what is my x? Let me run it. We run this cell, and you see it's mentioned that map object at this location. Right? So how will I use that? There are two ways to use that. There are two ways. I want to see what is x is having. Just simply loop through it. It's an object. Just loop through it. How? For example, element in x. Simple. For element in x, print element. So what it will give me? All the elements of x one by one. All the elements of x one by one, as we know about the for loop very well, right? Let me run that. You can see that 1, 4, 9, 16. So you're able to access each and every element of x, but this is not a preferred method. What is a preferred method? Means it is storing an object, right? So let me convert it into any iterable. Any iterable. For example, I want to convert it into list. So what I could type? I have to just type one keyword known as list here. Okay, just list there. So what will happen? This map lambda, this function, this complete function will return a map object like this, and that will be converted into the list. So you will be able to see x in terms of your list, right? So instead of typing here, better I show you another place so that when you are revising, you can understand what is happening. Okay, so I'm going here, copying the same code here, but this time instead of directly using x, I'm putting here list. Not mandatory to put the list. You can make a tuple as well. Just type tuple. It's up to you. Okay, done this. Let me run this. Now see, now x has become a list, and once it has become a list, you can use the way you. Tell me, is it clear with everyone, please? Any doubt, even a single doubt, then tell me, please.
Sir, I had a doubt about the function that were written.
This
X
function,
star star 2 comma 1. Yes, I didn't
actually,
understand.
were you present yesterday?
Yes, sir. I
For
know
the
that lambda is used to write a function.
yes. So what we have done
Uh,
actually, what we have done here, beta, you will pass only one argument, that is x. Okay, and after colon, we write what we want to return, what value we expect from this function. After x means after colon, what we write what we expect from this function. So we are expecting x to the power 2. That is a square. And this is the symbol of square, exponential. This is double star is known as exponentiation. Are you getting my point? This is known as exponential. Suppose instead of x, my demand would have been, I want every number to be multiplied by 2. Understand the requirement. Suppose my requirement changes now. My requirement becomes, I want the twice of every element. Twice of every element. So instead of x square, you will write here x times 2 or 2 times x, doesn't matter. Okay, whatever task you want, type here 2 times x. So now what will happen? This map function will map every element of list with this function. So first element of list will become 1. So this x will occupy the value 1 initially. Will occupy the value 1. That 1 will be multiplied by 2. So first element will be 2. Right? It will be stored. Second, it will move, iterate through second element. So else second element will become 2. So now x will become 2. Again 2 multiplied by 2 will become 4. Again stored. Move to the third element of list. That is 3. So x will become 3. It will become 6. Move to the next element for 4. X will become 4 and it will become 8. Now tell me, is it clear? If not clear, I will explain again. No issue with
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I mistook L as 1, so I got confused.
Okay, fine. The name has been given this L. Okay. Let me change the name so that you can understand. That is better. Okay. Let me type the name LST. LST again will get confused. Let me give some another name. Let's say my list. Is it fine? This is my list. Or here also I replace with my list so that no confusion is there. Okay. And here also I am changing it with my list. Okay. And I'm changing it back again to x square. X square. Okay. So running the code again, entire code, kernel restart and run all. Is it okay? Fine, everyone?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So now let us move to the next function. Let us move to the second category function, which is your filter function. Next category of function is your filter function. Right? What it does, it will take a sequence. It will take a sequence, whatever sequence you will give it, take it. It will take that sequence first of all. For example, that sequence is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Example. Okay. This is a sequence I give. What I want now, I want to filter this sequence. Suppose this sequence is again known as my list. Any sequence it can be, for example, this is a list. And I want to filter this list as per my requirement. Suppose I want only numbers which are greater than 3. I want only those numbers from this list which are greater than 3. Okay. So what I have to do again, the function will take 2 arguments. Again, the function will take 2 arguments. What arguments it will take? It will take 1 argument to be the function, which will decide your filtering criteria. You will write a function which will decide your filtering criteria. And second, your iterable. For example, in this case, it is my list. Okay. So we have to supply 2 things, means one function. The function will decide our filtering criteria, and iterable means the item of which has to be filtered. The item of which has to be filtered. So how we can use that? Again, see, we'll use a keyword filter. Okay. I'll use a keyword filter. Then your function. Again, same syntax. Then your function. After that function, then your iterable, whatever iterable it is. Instead of map, this filter has come here. Now, this function has to be something like that. It should return true or false. You have to write a function in a manner, it should return true or false. Okay. So what will happen actually? It will take individual element of iterable. For example, 1. Okay, and you will check this function when this one is supplied to this function. When this one is supplied to this function returns for this element as true or false. Okay, true or false. If it returns true, it will keep with it. It will keep with it. Okay, but in case it returns false for the same element, then it will filter that. It will not keep with it. Okay, then what will happen? It will move to the second element. It will move to the second element and check again, same function. For the same element, it is returning true or false. If it is returning true, keep it. If it is returning false, filter it. Don't keep with you. Same way, it will move to the every element and the function will check each and every element. If you satisfy the condition, it will be kept. Otherwise, it will be removed. Tell me the concept is clear or not, please, everyone.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Right? Of same thing we are going to implement our code side. So after understanding it, let me go to the code and I have my list with me. Let me check what is my list. I have created already. So let me check. It is having 1, 2, 3, 4. Let me make it bigger so that you can understand things better. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, this is my list, new list. And again, I want to filter it. Suppose I want only elements which are greater than 3. From this list, I want only elements which are greater than 3. So what I will write? I will write filter. Okay. Again, within this filter function, within this filter, if you go there, press shift and tab, you can see function iterable. Same thing. So now function can be defined two way. Either use conventional method using def and return true or false. It's up to you. Second way, simpler way, don't define a function, use a lambda function. But in this case, you have to define a lambda function in a manner such that it should return true or false. Okay. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to type here lambda. Okay. And I have to check each element. That means only one element is mandatory. So I'm putting X again. A colon here. In what condition I want to be true? Remember what my requirement is, what I just said. I need numbers greater than 3. Right? So I will tag that X should be greater than 3. That's it. X should be greater than 3. So whenever X will be greater than 3, this is a conditional statement, right? You can check it. It will check condition. If this condition is satisfied, it will return true. Otherwise, it will return false. Right? After that, nothing has to be done. Just pass your iterable. And what is my iterable name? MyList.
MyList.
Okay. So again, if I run it directly, it will create an object. Let me show. Let me save it somewhere. Again, an X example. And let me print after that. Let me run it. You see? Again, it created an object. So I want to access that. Two methods are there. Using for loop, access it. You can do that. Let me copy it. And as I've given the same name, doesn't matter. Let me go here and run this cell. You can see only elements 4, 5, and 6 are available. Right? But I want to take it as a list. Then what I can do, tell me now. If I want it as a list, you know now.
Put
Just
list
list
is
yes. Just put a list before the filter. Right? Let me run it and you can check. I hope it is okay with everyone.
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
Yes.
Clear? Please confirm.
Yes, sir.
Great. Let's move ahead to a next very important topic. And especially if you are having an interview, trust me, those people are going to ask you for the same. They're going to ask you. That is known as, next slide I'm opening. And that is known as list comprehension. You can mention is very important for interviews. If somebody knows Python, he will definitely ask you, tell me what is list comprehension. Okay. And what is list comprehension? In simple line, I'm defining in simple line. It offers a shorter syntax. Remember this. It offers a shorter syntax for creating a new list, because it is based on list comprehension. Name is given itself, list. Creating a new list based on values of existing list. Okay. So suppose I have been given a list. I have been given a list and somebody asked me to create a new list from the values of the list already existing. Depending upon condition may be applied or some function may be applied. That's a different thing altogether. But he's asking to create a new list from the existing list. Okay. So how can you do that? How can you do that? For example, simple. How do we write list comprehension? Understand. Simple. Two syntaxes, remember that one. That is easier for you. One is a conditional and one is unconditional. Okay. For example, one is like map function and one is like a filter function. Okay. How? So what you will write, suppose you want to create a list. This list is known as X. New list you want to create, that list is known as X. Example, or better I said new list. New list. Okay. New underscore list. I want to create. So how you will write? First of all, you will put square brackets, and you know, square brackets means list. Square brackets means list. So I created square brackets like this. I create square bracket, and in between them, what I am going to write, read everything properly. You will write your expression. Expression for item in example a list. Okay. Or for item, individual item, if you want to remove that, you can type element in list. Okay. What it is saying, read like English, read like English language means for, read this way, for every element in this list, for element in this list, it's a for loop statement. Remember, for element in this list, give this expression, right? For element in this list, give this expression. For example, I have a list known as, again, same, L is the name, and it is having 1, 2, 3, and 4. And somebody asked me create a new list, okay? But that list now should be double of whatever values it is having. Double of whatever values it is having. So what expression I want? Remember, what I want? I want twice of whatever element is. Whatever element is there, I want to get twice of that. Means twice of 1, twice of 2, twice of 3, twice of 4. Right? So how I will write? I will write again. So first of all, I will write square expressions. Inside that, just type what is visible. Expression. What expression you want? Remember? For example, write first of all this for element in list. And what is my list? My list name is L. So put L here. Okay. So what this loop will do? It will iterate through every element of this list. It will iterate through every element of this list. Okay. So what we want means this 1 is known as element. This 2 is known as element. This 3 is known as element. 4 is known as element. But at a time, the value of element will be 1 only, right? In the first iteration, what this for loop will give? The element will be, the value of element will be in the first iteration of, tell me, what will be the value of element in the first iteration of for loop? What will be the value of, yes, 1. Agree, everyone agree with this?
Yes, sir.
Right? In next iteration, what will be the value of element? 2. Yes. Got an idea? So what you want to do with that element? What do you want to do with that element? You just want to do this operation, 2 into element, right or wrong? This is what I want. So what it is going to do, see, simple this, what is output will be, understand this. For element in L, it will go first of all, it will take first element. What is the first element? 1. It will take that and place 1 here. Okay. So result will be 2 into 1. It will be stored in a list. put a comma. First iteration is over. It will go to the next element of the list, 1 to 2, right? So now the value of element will be 2. So 2 will be put here. So 2 into 2 will be 4 stored here. Okay. Next, move to the third element. So now the new element will be 3. So element value will be 3. Put 3 here. So 3 into 2 will be 6. Put a comma there. Next, last element. This time it is the last element. It is 4. So element value will be 4. Put 4 here. So 2 into 4 will be 8. Is it clear, everyone? Please tell me.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay with everyone? Please.
Yes, sir.
Perfect. Now, next, this is one expression for element in list. Second, suppose again I want a list, but that list should be filtered. Please mute yourself. Somebody is unmuted. Thanks, everyone. Okay. Same way you will write, just small modification will be there. Now, suppose I need only elements which are greater than 2. Means this is performing like a map function, right? It was almost performing like a map function. Now I want to perform it like a filter function. Okay. I need only elements in the list which are having values greater than 2. So how will I write? Till this point, exactly same thing, right? Expression and last bracket, expression. What expression you want for,
Element
again, element in
list.
L, or list, whatever you just element in list first. Okay. But now after that, put the condition you want. Put the condition you want. And what condition you want? If.
Greater than.
Which one? What should I put here? Tell me what keyword? What I want to check? Element, right? I want to check the element. This term. If element greater than 2. That's it. If element greater than 2. Simple. As simple as that. Is it fine, everyone? Please tell me.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes,
And
sir.
you can customize it as well. You can customize it as well. For example, if I'm writing this expression, for example, I just write this one. Okay. Simple function. If my list is this one and I want to modify it this way. So expression, what I want, for example, I don't need any modification. I just want the elements. If elements are above 2, I need them. Otherwise, I don't need them. So what should I write here? Tell me. What should I write here? Please. What expression you want here? You want some modification or you want element to be as it is?
2 plus element.
No, absolutely wrong. Please understand that syntax and you will understand. This will be same. Any doubt in this? No change will be there. You will just copy for element in list. What is the name of the list? L, right? If this name can be anything, this is known as loop variable. I think you remember now. We have studied that several times. This is known as loop variable. The loop variable can be given any name that you want to put. Up to you. You can put a name item as well. You can put I as well. It's entirely up to you. So I did for element in L. If element is greater than 2, then what happened? Then what happens? If element is greater than 2 for element in L, first what will happen for element in L? If element is greater than 2, then what you want? If it is greater than 2, then what you want? You just want to copy that element. That's it, right? So put
Yes,
element
sir.
here. Just put element here because you don't want any modification. But problem would have been different. Suppose I would have said if and close this list, right? If what I've said, square the element of list. Okay, create a new list which is having square of the elements, but only of those square if the list elements is greater than 2. Are you getting my point? Right? So I'm changing the condition now. I'm changing the condition. I need a square of the elements of only those elements whose initial value is greater than 2. In that case, only element what do? Right? I have to square it because if this condition is satisfied, I want to square that element. Then I will put star star. I hope it makes sense. I hope it makes sense. So understand what is your requirement. This expression can be anything. which is based on your element. Use it directly, doesn't matter. Or you want to do some modification to that. Tell me, is it okay? It's entirely up to you what you want. Entirely
Excuse
your
me, sir.
require. Yes, please.
Sir, can we use this condition element is greater than 2 at the place of expression?
Where? No. Actually, that will become a condition. That will become a condition, right? That will, if you want to use that, that is a condition. You want to put an expression here. This is a condition here. If in if condition, what we put, remember, in if condition, we always put those conditions which results in Boolean output. Okay. If results in Boolean output, if this condition is fine, why you want to put it here? Why you want
Okay,
to put
sir.
it here, right? Why you want to, if you want to show it, then you can show it like this, type this in a string. It will show same way. If element greater than 2, it will show same way. For example, let me do that. Is it fine? It will show same way, element greater than 2, if you want to show it. Normally, how do we use it? We want to do some expression based on that. And that's expression that should result some value. Right? So let's
Yes,
do
sir.
one thing.
Got it.
Let me go to the code section. And let me see what my list is having. Check my list is having elements 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay. So I'm creating a new list, and the new list is known as suppose x1. And you know how to create it? First of all, we have to put what we have to put. Tell me first. If we are creating list comprehension.
Square brackets.
Yes. Right. We have to put. Let me type here. You can understand that way. List comprehension. We have to put square bracket. Okay. After that, once I put square bracket, what I have to put? Remember? Element. Whatever name you are. First of all, type this way. For whatever name you want to put to the loop variable. Suppose I want to put element name or element in my list. Okay. What I want to do, initial stage, suppose I want to square it. So what I will do, element. Here the expression will come, remember? Element to the power 2. Element to the power 2. As simple as that. For element in my list, element to the power 2. I'm not doing any filtering. So it will take every element from my list. It will square it, store it. Square it, store it. Square it, store it. So what I will get 1, 4, 9, 16, 25, 36 in a new list known as x1. So let me print that x1 and you can see that. x1. Okay. Let me run it. Please check it. Whatever expression you want to do, whatever operation you want to perform on the element, put it here. It's not mandatory that you have to use element at any cost. Remember, it's not mandatory. Suppose any case, for every element, I want to print a constant value. That I can also do. It's up to me what I expect for every element from this. It's entirely up to me. Suppose I need a constant value for every element. A constant value is, let's say, 14 or 15 or 16, 21. Okay. So what will happen? I will have, how many elements are there in my list? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So 6 times 21 will be saved in a list. See? So it's entirely your choice what expression you want to put it here. Okay. For example, some person said, let me put this element greater than 2. See what will happen. What is happening? It is evaluating this expression. Simple. Check how it is evaluating. See, what is first element of my list? 1.
Yes,
So
sir.
1 will be pasted here. 1 is less than 2 or false? 1 is
First 2 are less than 2.
first is false. 2 is greater than 2. Again false. Rest 3, 4, 5, 6, which are greater than 2. So we'll get true, 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 true. Is it clear? Somebody asked, can we put there? You can put there, but see what's the use of that? Is it okay?
Yes, sir. Yes, it's clear.
Yeah. That's the main thing. Why you want? It will simply check that condition. So normally here we put that condition that you want for every iteration. Okay. Clear? So you can put anything you want. That's not mandatory. You have to use an element at any cost. I show you. You can use constant as well. Entirely your choice. Okay. Now go to the second. I want to create filtered condition. So again, for example, I'm copying it so that it will save my time. expression I'll write later on. But what I want, for example, element should be greater than 3. Element should be greater than 3. If element is greater than 3, then what you want from that element? That you have to write here. Okay. If element is greater than 3, what you want from here? For example, I don't want to perform any operation. I just want that element as it is. This is my requirement. Means I want 4, 5, 6 to be stored. Then I will simply type element here. Sorry, what I'm doing. I will type simply element here. Nothing more. Okay. Simply this, nothing else. Okay. So if I print it, sorry, what I'm doing. Let me print x2. I'll get only the element which are greater than 3 in a new list. That is 4, 5, and 6. Right? But if somebody asks, no, my condition changes now. The condition is what? If element is greater than 3, make a square of that and save it. Make a square of that and save it in the new list. Then what I will do, now you people can tell me. Suppose tell me, what should I do? Please tell me, what should I do? Understand the task. What is the task? If element of the list is greater than 3, then I want to do the square. Is it fine or not? Please tell me. This is also
Yes,
separate.
it's correct.
So whatever
Yes,
you want, whatever
Yes.
you want, whatever you want to do with that element is up to you. Or whatever operation you don't want to do with the element, you want to do some constant numbers, you want to save anytime, it's entirely up to you. Right? So let me run this. And you can check x3. You can check x3. See, the numbers greater than 3 are, where is my list? Yeah, 4, 5, and
4.
6. So 4 will be squared, 5 will be squared, 6 will be squared. So what you are getting? 16, 25, and 36. Only those are available inside that list. I hope it is clear with the list comprehension. Any doubt, please? Anyone?
No doubt, sir.
Okay. Should I move ahead?
Sure, sir.
Great, great. Very good. So let's move now. Let's move to the next thing. Let me go back to this way. Okay. So now I'm moving to the next function. Whatever the functions right now I'm telling, these are very helpful. These are very, very helpful. It is going to come a large use when we are studying with the machine learning and you are working on the advanced projects, because they will save your time. They will save your precious time, right? So next thing is a function is known as ZIF function. ZIF function. Now see what it does. Understand its use case. Suppose I have a list known as L1, okay, and it is having element 1, 2, 3. Okay, I have another element, let's say L2, which is having elements, let's say 10, 20, and 30. And what I need, suppose I need a new list now. I need a new list. Okay, or I need any other iterable, doesn't matter. If you want to create a list, it's entirely up to you, because again, ZIF function will be in creating an object also. Okay, don't worry. So what I want is, I want to create a tuple like this. Means combination of first element of this and first element of this. That means this way, 1, 10. Okay. Then next tuple, combination of second element of these. Remember the sequence I'm talking. It will do that way only. First with first, second with second, create a tuple, and third with third. But please, somebody is unmuted. Please mute yourself. Third with third, right? If I want to do that, even I'm just mentioning 2, you can have 3 as well. Suppose I created 3, L3. So it will add third element of that as well. For example, I created L3 and it is having, for example, 100 and 101, 102, 103, like this. So what I want to group, 1, 10, and 101 in one tuple, 2, 20, and 102 in one tuple, 3, 30, and 103 in one tuple. Okay, and you must be confusing, sir, why we require even this? Why I require? So actually what happens, suppose you have a simple files, you have some data files available with you. separate file. And this data file, if for example, is about the only names of 3 persons, names of 3 persons. Okay. This data file is about the education of same 3 persons. Same 3 persons. Okay. Same person. The names is there. Same 3 persons are there. And again, this is about example, their age. Again of the same 3 persons. Okay. There's 3 separate things. One data file, second data file, third separate file. I want user-wise information now. I want it one place. It should be his name, his education, and then his age at one place like this. First, for the first person, tuple, so that nobody can modify it. Second person, again, name, education, age. Again, third person, name, education, age. Right? So you get an idea. So if you want this kind of things, then your savior is a zip function. It will create a task for you. What's the syntax? Very simple syntax. It is nothing having. You can simply use zip, and place your iterables, as many number of iterables you want. For example, I have 3, so I'll place L1, L2, L3. If I have 4, I will extend them. Okay, and it will return something like, if I don't put a list function there, it will create an object. If I put a list function there, it will give me output like this. Understand what is our requirement and when we will use it, and how the zip function will actually do. Is it okay?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so I'm moving to the code section now. Okay. So suppose I have a list again, as I said, L1 equals to a list known as 1, 2, 3. Again, I have a list L2 equals to, again, let's say 10 or 11, 12, 13. And but that is better. We are putting the same concept is better. If you are putting that way, that is better. I'm putting name. Suppose my name is Praveer in one section. Somebody's name is Ram. Okay, and somebody's name is, let's say, Sita. Okay, now here, and I give the name to be names. This names to be names. Then I place here education. Then I place education here. And the Praveer's education is, I'm placing here, Praveer's education is, for example, master's. Okay. Then I move next. Ram's education is, let's say, graduate. Okay. And Sita's education is, let's say, undergraduate. Okay. Third, age. Age comes. Now, suppose say Praveer's age is 32. Okay. Ram's age is, let's say, 25. Okay. And Sita's age is, let's say, 18. Fine. So what I'm gonna do, I'm using zip function. I'm using zip function, and inside this, I'm going to place my iterables. That is names, comma, education, comma, age. Okay. If I use it, it will create an object. But if I want list, I will create a list here. Doesn't matter. You can put a tuple here as well. You can put a string as well. It's up to you. Any iterable you want to make it. Zip. I'm placing in the list. And suppose this is my compiled. This name is compiled. Okay. List. And let me print after that. Print compile. So let me run this. Can you see, please? Check it.
Yes, sir.
Is it okay with everyone?
Yes, sir.
Okay. This is the use of zip function. Agree, everyone? Is it easy? I think it is easy. You should understand actually the use cases, when we are going to use them, how they are going to be benefited for me. Right?
Sir, yes, sir.
Okay. So I'm moving to the next section now. And next is your, let me move to the next slide, your tuples. Now we are done with the list. We are moving to the What is a tuple? Simple, as simple as that. A sequence object, again, very much like a list. A sequence object which cannot be modified after creation. Which cannot be modified after creation. And such type of data structures are known as, remember what we call them, which cannot be modified. There is a word for them, immutable. Yes.
Mutable.
No, immutable. Mutable means change. Mutable, anything mutable means which just keeps on changing. Have you heard about the COVID? The virus is mutating itself again and again. So new forms are evolving. That is change. Remember that way. That will be easier to remember. Right? Whenever you're talking about mutation, it means changing. Okay, immutable means which cannot be changed. Remember, easiest way to remember. Now you won't forget ever. Related with the COVID, you will never forget. Nobody is going to forget COVID forever, right? It is going to stay at least in our brain for a long time. Now, how do we create tuples? There are different ways. There are different ways. For example, I'm creating a tuple known as P. So how can I create? Normally, tuples are created with these brackets, simple round brackets. Okay, put anything inside. For example, 1, 2. It will create a tuple for you. Or you can place any type of data type here. Any type. One number, one string, doesn't matter at all. Anything you can place here, like a list. Okay. But one more thing, if you don't even put a bracket here, if you don't put a bracket here and type 1, 2. If you don't put a bracket here, 1, 2, still Python interpreter will assign P as tuple. Remember this thing. Then your Python interpreter will assign P as a tuple. So if you forgot to put your brackets, it will consider it as a tuple. One more thing. Suppose I put P is equal to 1, only one element. In this case, your Python interpreter will consider it as integer, right? But if I put comma after 1, just 1 comma, just 1 comma, then Python interpreter will consider it as a tuple object. Okay, you can also create an empty tuple as well, like this. Just put round brackets, it will be an empty tuple. Like we created an empty list by square brackets, you can create an empty tuple this way. Right? So understand, tuple can be created with these round brackets. Put any data type you want to put inside, doesn't matter. If you forgot to put bracket, doesn't matter. Still, it will be considered as tuple. If we take only single variable here, single value here for assignment, it will be considered as integer by the Python interpreter. But if I put a comma, it will be considered as tuple. If we create a round bracket and an empty, it will be considered as empty. Any doubt in this point, so that we can go to code execution of the same. Is it fine,
No
everyone?
doubt, sir.
Fine.
Yes, sir.
So I'm moving ahead to the code. Same thing we are going to implement. Okay. So we are moving to the tuples. Okay. So how tuples are created? I told you. Suppose I'm giving the name P. So one way of creating it, simple, put round brackets, and inside that type anything you want. For example, I type 1, my name. So one is an integer, second one is string. Let me put it inside. Done successfully. Check it. Please check its data type of P. You can see that clearly mentioning it is a tuple, right? Second way, again, I'm creating P, but this time I'm not putting brackets. I'm not putting brackets. Now, after not putting brackets, I will check the type of P. Again, I will check the type of P. See, still a tuple. Okay, so putting brackets is not mandatory, but it is a good practice. Always put brackets. Next, suppose I use 1 and don't put a comma. Let me check the type of P. It will be considered as an integer. Okay, right? Showing int. But let me type P equals to 1 comma now. 1 comma and check its type. check its type. Let me check it. See, a tuple. A comma had made a big difference. I forgot to put the comma, consider it as integer. If I put a comma, consider it as a right. Similarly, I can create an empty tuple like this way. Done. Let me check the type of P. Please check. I hope it makes sense. So if you put somewhere empty brackets and you don't know what it is behaving as, it will be behaved as a tuple only. Is it fine, everyone?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So I'm moving ahead. So suppose I have a tuple known as, which is mentioned as 1 comma 2. Okay, 1 comma 2. And there is one more tuple, let's say 3 comma 4. And I want to create a new tuple, which should be combination of 1, 2, 3, and 4. Which should be combination of 1, 2, 3, 4. Remember, we can't modify this 1 and 2. We can't modify this 3 and 4. Right or wrong? Because these are tuples. Let me give them a name. X equal to this and Y is equal to this. So I can't make these changes. Once they are created, you cannot modify them. You cannot modify them. Let me run that. Even if you want to check, X is a tuple created. If I press X and press dot and I press tab now, after dot I press tab, see only 2 methods are available for a tuple. Only 2 methods. Which are those? Count and index. No add, no remove, no append, no extend, no insert, because they cannot be modified, right? They cannot be modified. So only limited functionalities are. You cannot do. You can only check the count, how many times a variable. I will show that. Don't worry about that. Okay. So for I was discussing, I need a tuple which should have a value of 1, 2, 3, and 4. So that is allowed. That is allowed very much like a list, known as concatenation. Simple. You can do with the help of, but that will create a new one, concatenation. Okay. So let me create one. Z equals to simply X concatenation operation and Y. Right? Z concatenation operation, X and Y. X is a tuple, Y is a tuple. Now if I check the value of Z, it will be a tuple having value 1, 2, and 3, and 4. But X and Y will remain same. They are not going to change any cost. Print Z, and after that, let me print X as well and print Y as well. Okay, so that we can come to know those are not modified. Those are not modified at all. Let me run that. Please check. So I get a new tuple Z, which is a combination of both of the 1, 2, 3, and 4. It is there, but X is as it is 1 and 2, Y is as it is 1. Fine. Okay. If somehow I'm trying to being clever, trying to full Python interpreter. Can I do this thing? Let me copy it. Instead of Z, what I do, let me concatenate them and press X here. Let's see what happens now. Why? Let me check the value of X. Print X. So what just happened? Remember, your original X will be gone forever, for sure. Your original X will be gone forever. Now the X will be have only 1 and 3. 1, 2, 3, 4. This is new one. This is new access created. It has nothing to do what you have done earlier. Remember, this is the new one. This is the new. The name you put here is the new name. If you don't put it here, put it any name. It will take it. For example, we put it Z there, right? So Z was already, I think X is what? Let me run this cell again. Just a second. And let me run this cell again. And let me run this cell again. And let me run this cell again. Yeah. I hope you get an idea, right? So remember, changing of tuples is not possible. Means it is not possible. I can append something. If you want to make simple fundamental, once you are declaring here, typing here X, so you are simply saying that I'm creating a variable new. It doesn't understand it is X is here, doesn't matter at all. You put it anything, it will accept it. Put anything, it will accept it. Okay, so original, remember, variables, your tuples cannot be changed. You are, if you are putting X here, you are in illusion. I put X here, I am able to make it modified. So Python interpreter is not a fool. No, your original X has gone. It has taken a new identity now. It has taken a new identity. Otherwise, what would have been become? Let me show you one more thing. Let me run this cell again. Okay, and let me check the ID of X. Okay, check the ID of X so that you can know which memory location the X is being stored. Let me run this. 2193684. This is the ID of X. Now let me see if I place X here and check its ID. Okay, please check. Both IDs are entirely different, right? I hope it makes sense now. It's fine, everyone?
Yes, sir.
Okay, that's very important to understand, please. That's very important to understand how these are working. Don't fall into the trap. You say, okay, this is happening this way or something like that. Don't fall in any of the trap. So I'm running it again and let me run this again. Okay. So moving ahead, we know your concatenation is possible in the tuples, right? Easily we can concatenate without any doubt with that. Same way, what we can do, suppose I want to convert, I have a list example. The list is having element 1, 2, 3. And I want to convert that list into a tuple. I want to convert that list into a tuple. So how can I do that? Simple. You can put any iterable there. Just type a keyword like list, tuple. Earlier you type list, now type tuple. Like this. It will convert this list into a tuple. Okay. Let me save as name as S. And you want to print S. Check S. Okay. So I'm running this. And please check. Now S has become a tuple. Similarly, if you have a string is also iterable, remember? So instead of list, if I pass on here any string, suppose my name, Ravir. So what it will do, as it is iterable, it will break every element P, R, A, V, E, E, R and stored as a tuple in S. Please check it. Is it fine, everyone? Please tell me.
Yes,
Is
sir.
it okay?
Yes.
Okay. So moving ahead. Now, suppose I have a tuple again. Tuple is this way. S is the tuple, which is having P, R, A, V, E, E, R. Now, how to access them? How to access the element of tuple? Element of tuple. Very much like you access the list. For example, my tuple name is S. I want to access first element. Then I'll put 0. I'll get P. Right? I want to access last element. Again, same concept. Put -1. We'll get last element. Fine. Is it okay, everyone? Similarly, I want to access starting, for example, same rules which were for a string or a list. Same way you can access it. Example S. I want to access starting 3 elements. So I'll put 0:3. Fine, everyone. Please tell me any doubt in this. Same way you can access. Earlier you were able to access to the list as well, or the tuple or your string as well. Same things applies. Fine.
Yes, sir.
Now again. Now, very much like you have studied like list unpacking, there is also tuple unpacking. You can do tuple unpacking. How you can do tuple unpacking? The same way we did last year. Like how? Suppose how many elements are there in my list? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So what you can do? You can put 6 elements there, like earlier we did. Okay. For example, let me take this one. This is smaller. Let me save it somewhere. As a tuple, let's say my tuple. Okay, I'm running it. My tuple is this. And what I want to do, this is my tuple. I want to assign its value, whatever my tuple is having. Let me see what my tuple is having. Let me print it. I will see what my tuple is having. MITUPLE. Yeah, PRNA. So it is having 3 elements. If I want to assign 3 variables to it, easily I can do that. How? My tuples, how many elements it is having? 3. So I can take a variable example v1, comma v2, comma v3, right? And let me run it. It's very much like the same way. That means it is equivalent to this. v1 equals to my tuple colon 0, right? v2 equals to my tuple colon 1, and v3 equals to my tuple colon, very much like this. Okay, so let me run this. Some error. What mistake I made? Oh, my tuples. The name wrongly I put. Yeah, let me run this. Yeah, done successfully. So you want to see, then print either 1 by 1 v1, comma v2, comma v3. Okay. So we can see v1 is having the value p, v2 is having the value r, and p3 is having the value a. Is it fine? Everyone,
Yes,
please
sir.
tell me. Okay. But there is an issue. There is an issue, sir. Suppose my tuple is having PR in it, 3 elements it is having, so 0, 1, and 2. If somehow I forget that list is immutable, it cannot be mutated. I somehow try to do this thing. My tuple assignment I want to do. My tuple, suppose that I want to access, I want to replace my first element, that is 0th index, that is P, with another element, let's say S. Okay. I want to replace my first element of the tuple, that is P, with the new element known as S. I'm just trying to do that, okay, by using the assignment operator. Same way, it throw in an error in the list. Remember, it thrown an error in the list as well. Sorry, not in list, in the string as well. It thrown an error, similar sort of error that we are going to receive now. That this tuple doesn't support assignment. Let me run that. See, can you check? Tuple object does not support assignment. It's very much like same as a string. String also doesn't support. For example, if I created a string again, let's say I'm again speaking again and again speaking list, but it is string. Let me get a string, my string, and the name is again Praveer. Okay, I can access individual element, no problem with that. Access, I repeat, I can access that. My string, first element I want to access, I will put 0. It will give me P. But the moment I try to assign it to something else, suppose I want to assign 0 instead of P, I want to place it C, S or C, whatever you want. Run it. Same kind of error you will get. See, string object does not support item assignment. Tuple object does not support item assignment. Means string and tuples both are
Same.
no, not again.
Immutable,
Just
No,
immutable. You are not. They are
im-
not same. They are immutable, right? They are immutable. That's the main thing. These are immutable. They cannot be changed. Okay. But there are, as we saw, there are 2 functions inside the string. Let me explore the inside the tuple. Let us explore that. So let me create a new tuple. Let's say small name is tuple, and I'm putting some element like 1, 2, 3. Again 1, 1, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay. This is my tuple. And what I want to do, suppose tup, how many functions are there? The simple way to check, whatever variable you have created here means you have created a list here, but I want to convert it into the tuple. 2 ways are there. Either remove these brackets from here and convert them into round brackets. This is one way of doing that, right? This is one way of doing that, putting round brackets there. Second way of doing that, if you have a list here, doesn't matter. Still, I can convert it into the tuple. How? And how can I convert it into the tuple? I just told few minutes ago. This is a list. I want to convert it into a tuple. How can I do that?
so type
Tuple within first bracket
tuple.
tuple.
Yes, just put a keyword tuple. Just put a keyword tuple. So everything will be do that. For example, I put a tuple here and brackets. So it will convert them into a tuple. run that, and you can check your tuple. Okay, and second way is just remove these brackets. Let me copy it again, and let me remove these simple. Put a round bracket here. Remove this. Put a round bracket here. Automatically, it will become a tuple. So there are two ways you can get it. Okay, so now once created, let me type tup dot and press tab. The moment I press tab, I see two functions or two methods rather. I see two methods, count and index. Let me put the count here, press tab. Okay, I get a count, put a bracket inside and see what it tells. What it tells. Press shift and tab. What it says, simply return the number of occurrences of a value. Return the number of occurrences of a value. Whatever value you will put here, it will tell you how many times that value is occurring inside your tuple. For example, I'm going to check how many times one is coming here. How many times one is occurring in this tuple. So I can see by default 1, 2, 3 are there. Let me run it. See. Okay. So it will tell me how many times one is occurring there. Similarly, there is one more known as index, tup dot index. And what it does, simply the element you will pass here, it will tell us occurrence, index of first occurrence. Index of first occurrence. So let me press here. See what it does. Returns first index of the value. So if number is occurring multiple times, it will tell only first index of the same. For example, I want to check, suppose this element is coming multiple times, 3 and 3, very much like 1. I want to check what is the index of the 3. So it will return only first index. What is the first index? 0, 1, and 2. Is it fine, everyone?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So always any doubt you're having, go inside the function, just press shift and tab and it will tell you the details. Right. So it returns first occurrence index. Now, interesting thing is there. Very interesting thing in a tuple is that suppose I have two variables, x and y. X, comma x, the value of x is 10, and the value of y is, let's say, 11. Okay. The task is I want to swap these values. I want x to be become after declaring, I'm declared that I want x to be become 11 and y to become 10. How can I do that? Don't forget you are studying Python. You are not using any programming language. A simple logic question. Simple logic question.
Swap it.
Pardon?
Swap function.
No function is there. Don't worry.
X is equal to X
What I
plus
said.
Y.
What I said. Forget about programming language. Forget about programming language. Just use your own concept. How can you swap these values? You don't have any function available. Example.
Sir, first
We can
we
use
can
third variable.
this third variable.
Yes. Yes. If you are doing it normally, you will require a third variable for sure. Otherwise, it is not possible. It is not possible. How? Suppose what I am doing. I am doing z equal to x. Right? So now z will store my value of 10. Perfect. After that, I said, tell me, what should I do now? I said x equal to y. I can write this or not? X equal to y. So what is having x's value? X's original value is saved in the z variable. And now y's value is saved in the x variable. Only thing we need to do, the x's original value we need to store in y. So we can do y is equal to z. Simple. Right or wrong?
Yes,
Right?
sir.
Right. Let me check it. You can want to check. You can go with x, and you can see x has become 11. Earlier it was 10. It has become 11 now. And go with the y. It has become 10 now. Okay. That's normally how you work in any programming language. But Python is savior for us. Without any function, you can do that. And then one line. No function is required. If you studied the thing properly, what we did earlier, okay, I have to just write this way. X comma y equal to y comma x. That's it. Nothing more than that. And you can check it. Just run it and check x. Earlier, actually, what is happening? Remember, before running this, what is the value of x is? 11. And what is the value of y is? 10. But after running this, opposite will happen. Your x will become 10 and y will become 11. Let me check it. X. See? Uh-oh. Didn't change. What happened? Let me check once again. How come it is not working? It should work. Let me do one thing. Let me run this cell again. Let me run this cell again. Let me check what is the current value of x. What is the current value of y? Fine. And I'm using x is equal to x comma y is equal to y comma x. It's perfectly fine. It's perfectly fine. So let me run it. So currently, what is the value of y? Y is 10. So that should be become the value of x. And what is the value of x? That is 11. That should become the value of y. Let me run it. Yeah, I don't know why it was not doing. See, and check why. Did you see? Prior to this, what happened? Prior to this, x was having the value 11. Y was having the value 10. Perfect. Means, but after execution of this, what has happened? The value of x has become 10 and value of y has become 11. How happened? I just write this way: x comma y is equal to y comma x. Can anybody explain me how it happened? In other programming language, you won't be able to do that. Trust me.
Sir,
Why?
actually, y comma x, it is considered as tuple.
Very good. Very good. Absolutely. This is the reason only. This is the only reason. Right? So actually what has happened here, the moment you write this expression, what it will be storing? It will be storing like this: a tuple having the value y. What is the y value before this? 10. Okay, we are not putting brackets, but automatically it will consider it as a tuple. And second element is x. What is x? 11. Okay, it means this line will do this thing first. Yx. Once you read yx, yx will be created like this. Now what is happening? You are writing like this: x comma y equals to this. Means these lines we have written here are equivalent to these lines. Okay, and remember, we just studied tuple unpacking. Remember, just studied tuple unpacking. If you remember anywhere, we did that. See, so first element of the tuple will go to the first element. Second element will go to the second element. So what is same thing is happening here? First element will go to the first element. Second element will go to the second element. That's why x has become 10 and y has become 11. Very good. Very good. I think it's the Rama. Am I correct?
Yes, sir.
Very good. Very good. This is the concept which was required because it is considering this xy to be a tuple. So let me remove this. Otherwise, it will create a confusion. This is your nothing but your comment. Is it fine? Okay. Everyone, please tell me. Got this concept or not?
Yes.
How it is happening?
Yes,
like
sir.
this? Okay. So I think I should stop for the day and hope the class was meaningful for today. Right?
Yes, sir.
Definitely.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So I'm stopping for the day and please practice. And don't worry, actually, few people are having some problems in the assignment. 1 or 2 questions doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. Just keep trying, keep trying. One day we will keep for just discussing the questions of the assignment only. Okay. Don't worry. If I'll discuss in the class, then what happens is that most of the people who have not done, they will see that idea and they won't use their own brain. That I don't want. They have to apply their brain, because once you understand it your own way, that makes you different. This is the my way of learning as well. I learn this way. I never copy code from somewhere else. I try to create code of my own. Doesn't matter. Sometimes I fails. Barely matters to me. But that failing method, what I came to know, this method is wrong. I can't use it. This is the only thing. Okay. So have a good day, everyone.